Hello, boys and or girls and or others. Old people. What? So Chris Chibnall recently did an interview with, I think it was the Radio Times or something. I can't remember. But he was talking about bringing back some old companions from both the classic series and the new series. Seeing companions that he'd like to see alongside the 13th Doctor, like, Captain Jack, how he's come back now in series 12. He mentioned he would have loved to have seen Sarah Jane Smith with the 13th Doctor and Harry Sullivan. Unfortunately, of course, those meetings are unable to happen as Elizabeth Sladen and Ian Marter are unfortunately both deceased. But he also name dropped a couple of others, Tegan, Amy and Rory, quite a few really, that he would like to see come back. And it got me thinking, it's nice when we see old characters in Doctor Who. We all, we like that. It's good to be able to revisit things you know and you love and see how they interact with new things, and especially with a female Doctor, it will be very interesting to see older companions react to a female Doctor. Obviously, with Captain Jack, that's the one you'd have the most fun with because his reaction in Fugitive of the Judoon was pretty much perfect in terms of, he thinks the Doctor's a man, gets told the Doctor's a woman, and is just excited about it. Whereas some other companions may be a little bit more hesitant potentially, or I think their reactions will be very different and interesting to explore in different ways. And so today I have compiled a list of 5, but also sort of 6 companions I would like to see return with the 13th Doctor if it was ever, a possibility. So that's what we're going to do in the video. That's the video. So the first one I'm going to talk about is the obvious one, the one everyone wants and everyone keeps asking for, and that is Ace. Sophie Aldred is very active in the sort of Doctor Who community. She does a lot of conventions. The trailer for the season 26 box set, Blu-ray set, was brilliant. Just a little snippet of Sophie Aldred back as Ace in that character, and she didn't really say anything, and she was wonderful. Of course, we recently had the new book written by Sophie Aldred herself. I think she had some help from, like actual authors, but it's written by her at Childhood's End, which is about Ace meeting the 13th Doctor. So you could just adapt that book if you wanted, or have an episode, just create a new story where Ace meets her 13th Doctor, but she'd clearly be up for it and would be very willing to do it. I think, especially with Ace is really the model that Rose Tyler was built on, and modern companions afterwards. Ace was sort of the proto-modern companion. She was very different to companions that came before her, and I think recontextualizing her in the new series, seeing how companions have changed and evolved from the model of companion that she is, so to speak, I think will be very interesting. I think she could be this generation's Sarah Jane. You bring her back, and Sophie Aldred could absolutely hold her own on a spin-off and carry that in the way that Liz Sladen was able to with the Sarah Jane Adventures. That would be great. And of course there'd be some people who are like, wow, both spin-offs, both shows got women as the main characters. Why can't you have one of the spin-offs be a main character being a man? Because that's the internet nowadays, isn't it? But kids don't care, because I loved the Sarah Jane Adventures as a kid, and it never occurred to me the fact that the main character in that was a 50-year-old woman. I was somewhat apprehensive about a female Doctor for quite a while before it was announced. When it was announced, I was just very excited about it. But actually, looking back, the Sarah Jane Adventures proves that the gender doesn't really change anything, because Sarah Jane is the Doctor in that show. And I think Ace could take on that role for a new generation as well. So she'd be a great choice. And everyone wants Ace back, so just do it, Chibnall. Come on, do it. Next, another somewhat obvious one, and that is Susan Foreman. Of course, this will be picking up that very infamous line from the Dalek invasion of Earth, which is Susan's final story, in which the Doctor says, "One day, I shall come back," and we've never seen that in the show. Of course, Susan has made appearances. She appeared in the Five Doctors, and she's appeared in Big Finish quite a bit. There is a Big Finish story with the Eighth Doctor, I believe, called An Earthly Child, which is obviously a play on An Unearthly Child, which is Susan. That is about the Eighth Doctor coming back and seeing Susan, but we've never seen it in the show. And The Haunting of Villa Diodati has shown that Big Finish, although you can consider Big Finish canon. Moffat canonised a lot of the Eighth Doctor stuff with all his companions in Night of the Doctor, but the Mary Shelley stuff is sort of not canon now because of The Haunting of Villa Diodati, and we've got Mary Shelley and Cybermen in the main show. Now, everyone has their own canon, and if you choose to prefer the Big Finish story over the TV story, that's fine, but it is what it is. It clearly shows that the Chibnall era is clearly not averse to contradicting things that have already been established by secondary media, because Big Finish is ultimately secondary to the TV show, and the TV show comes first in terms of what it wants to do. So it's totally an option for them to have a story with Susan. It would be I think it would be a bit of a missed opportunity if we never saw that. I don't know how likely it is, but of course, people have been talking about getting Susan back since, ever since I knew about Susan and that line. It's sort of been something that people have been lobbying around for, ages, because if you have that line, it's almost like a setup, and a show that runs for this long, why would you not bring that back? But I could totally understand why they wouldn't do that. But again, I've got to fill out this list with 5 people, so there's Susan. Next, I want to talk about Jo Grant, I forgot her name, now Jo Jones, which is a married name. She appeared in the Sarah Jane Adventures in the story Death of the Doctor with Matt Smith, but we've never seen her in the main show. Katie Manning is a lovely. She's lovely. She's such a joy. If you've seen her in interviews or bonus features or just on Twitter, even she's fantastic, and I think she would definitely be up for coming back to do more as Jo in the TV series. She's got such a fun energy. I'm working my way through the classic series, and of the companions I've seen, I think Jo is probably my favourite, but I love quite a lot of them. But I think if you had to pin me down and pick one, I think I'd probably pick Jo. I originally wasn't going to put her on this list though, because she has come back in Sarah Jane Adventures, so the novelty has sort of worn off with her. That being said, it's been 10 years since that story, so sure, bring her back. She'd be lovely. Get her to fight a classic Third Doctor monster. He's got some great ones. Sea Devils is probably the main one, but you could do giant maggots or daemons or Tom Tit. Next up, this is the only modern series companion I've got on the list, and actually it's sort of a double bill, because it's Martha Jones, and with her, Mickey Smith. I was debating whether or not to put Mickey as his own separate thing on this list instead of Jo, actually, because I think it'd be great to bring in a male companion who isn't Captain Jack, to bounce off the gender flipped Doctor, a female Doctor. And I was just thinking, there aren't actually that many that you could do it with. There's Ian, maybe. Jamie, who had his mind wiped, so you can't really do that. I'm not sure if any of the unit family from the Third Doctor's era would. I'm not sure. As we've said, Ian Martin, Harry Sullivan has unfortunately passed away. Adric died. I don't actually know what happened to Turlo. I don't think he died. And then that's it, basically it for male companions in the Cosmic series. So you're really sort of stuck with new series, and then you've only got Rory. But I'm not that fussed about seeing Amy and Rory back. I like Rory, but I'm not really fussed about seeing them back anytime soon. I maybe will, but again, he's very much tied to Donna, and you can't bring Donna back because of the way her story ended. So I've gone with Mickey here, but the main sort of point of the top 5, the main character I'm putting on here is Martha Jones, who is my favourite modern series companion. Although she spends most of her one series with, having eyes for the Doctor, she ultimately proves herself as a more independent character and does the sensible thing and leaves when she needs to. And even though she does sort of have eyes for the Doctor, she's still capable. In Human Nature, Family of Blood, she basically is on her own. There's no Doctor there to help her. She's got to manage that situation on her own, and she does pretty well. 42, she saves the day. Lazarus experiment, she lures the creature. She handles herself against the Daleks. She beats the Master by trailing the world on her own for a whole year. She's a very capable character, and I think she deserves more screen time than she got, because she's a very underrated character. Everyone's favourite modern companions are Donna, or Amy, or Rose, but no one's favourite modern companion seems to be Martha, except me. I love Martha, and that's really why I just want more Martha. I think a Martha and Mickey spin-off could work as well. They're really cool. I think out of all of them, Martha's actually the least likely to come back, but I would love to see her personally. And finally, a bit of an oddball choice this one. Number 1, I want to talk about Perry. Perry's not a character people are clamouring for to come back. However, I feel like her story is so interesting and so not easy, but like the options of stories you can tell from that, I think it's very possible to tell a new story with Perry, because she travelled with a Doctor who was mostly kind of a dick to her, and then she died, but not really. She actually went off and married Brian Blessed, and so coming back to her, well, she's now older and presumably a warrior queen on some alien planet or something, I don't know, and allowing her and the Doctor to somewhat reconcile, I think would be very interesting, and not do it in a way where it's like, yeah, the 6th Doctor was terrible to Perry and he bullied her and he abused her, and wasn't the 6th Doctor's era really bad? No, because that would be disingenuous to Colin Baker and to the genuine creative efforts that went into that era, but at the same time, Perry did not have it particularly easy in terms of the relationship with her Doctor, and I think being able to come back and look at that and say, that was wrong, but it doesn't mean, I don't know what I'm saying, but I think you could tell a very good story about that. I think Nicola Bryant will be very much up for it. On her Twitter recently, she's been filming something and she's kept having to clarify it's not Doctor Who related, but I think she'd be totally up for it and willing to do it, and I'd love to see her back. I really started to like Perry from what I've seen of her. You know, from watching season 23 on the Blu-ray set. You know, and Vengeance on Varos is the only story from season 22 I've seen, because it's the one everyone raves about. But I really quite like Perry, and I think she deserves another chance to, you know, prove her worth as a companion, because she's not one that people really talk about as one of the really great ones. I don't think she's a character like Ace or Joe Grant, who would come back and be like a Sarah Jane and then, you know, be able to carry a spin-off. I don't think Perry's the right character for a spin-off, but I think the story you could tell with her would be quite interesting, I think, and I would like to see her back. And I think if any era of the show needs a bit more love from newer fans, it's the Sixth Doctor's era. If you bring back Perry and tell a good story with her and make her likeable, people might be inclined to go back and watch some of her older stuff. And they may not love it, but if you contextualize it in the story when you bring her back, they'll be able to look at it through that lens. People might enjoy more of Colin's era because of it. And at the end of the day, you know, what more could you ask for? Colin has been such a great sport and such a great ambassador for the show in the years since. And I know Big Finish retroactively fixed him, so to speak, but I think he's got some decent televised stories. You know, they're not terrible. And so it'd be great to see more people enjoying his Doctor as seen in the show itself. And I think bringing Perry back will be a great way to advertise that, I suppose. That's it. That's the video. That's the end. Those are my 5/6 companions I'd like to see return. Let me know in the comments what companions you want to see return. Whether it be Amy and Rory, like Chibnall, or Tegan, or Rose even maybe, or whoever. Let me know. We'll have a nice discussion maybe. Who knows? Like the video, share it around. That really helps the algorithm if you do all those things, but you don't have to. You know, it is whatever. And I'm gonna go away now, and I should probably get watching Torchwood on BBC iPlayer, shouldn't I? And do some content about that. Don't worry, there'll be content about Series 12 when it's over. One episode left, and then I'll start making some videos about it, probably. Okay, bye.